And Greg Feld, he's in a mood, guys. It's 5 o'clock in New York City, and this is The Five. We begin with a Fox News alert. A powerful 7.0 earthquake causing what local authorities are calling major damage after striking just outside the city of Anchorage, Alaska. Trace Gallagher is standing by with the very latest. Trace.
Dana, this was a big one. A number of roads in and around Anchorage have now been damaged, including the Seward Highway. If you show pictures, this is traffic backed up for several miles. The Seward Highway was shut down because of a rock slide. But a lot of the major access roads are either open and flowing or in the process of being reopened. A lot of the traffic that's coming in right now back into Anchorage, remember there was that tsunami warning earlier. That was lifted, but a lot of those people were told to go to higher ground. They're now trying to get back into their homes, and some bridges, the structural integrity of those has not been checked out, so a lot of the traffic is being diverted onto other roads. As for electricity, there are reports of at least 7,000 homes and businesses without power, but one of the primary substations has just gone back online, and there are no reports of any power lines down, and that's very good news for the crews that are trying to get those electricity needs up and running again. And here's the amazing thing. A short time ago, the fire chief came out and said that they went and scanned around the city of Anchorage and found no major structural damage of any of the buildings, which is a very big testament to the city's very strict building codes. We should also note that Alaska Airlines is now back up and running. It is the region's biggest carrier, and flights are now going back to and from Ted Stevens Airport. And the airport is really emphasizing to people that it is open again. Earlier, the roads to and from were closed, but now they're saying the roads to and from the airport are open. The airport is open. The bad news is that train service across most of the state is not operating. The good news is that in Alaska, most of the train service is freight. It's not passenger. This earthquake, imagine 7.0, stronger than the San Francisco earthquake, the Northridge earthquake, and the damage right now appears to be significant, but not devastating. Dana.
All right, Trace, thank you for that report. Let's go to Rick Reichmuth. He's in the Fox Weather Center for more on this massive earthquake. Rick.
Yeah, Dana, so they get a lot of earthquakes in Alaska. They also get a lot of really strong ones. Take a look at that first one. Prince William Sound earthquake in 1964. It was a 9.2. That was the second strongest earthquake we've seen anywhere on Earth, at least in recorded history. So they get very, very strong ones there. That last one here, the fifth one, the Unimak Island one, that caused a tsunami all the way into South America. So travels very far. The tsunami is not the case with this one. That is what we have, the earthquake there in the last 12 hours. Those yellow dots are the last 12 hours. The red dots, as we get a little bit closer, are within the last hour. And you get an idea of all of the aftershocks here we've had in the last 12 hours. Lots of them, some smaller aftershocks here just within the last hour. But the proximity to Anchorage is why we were so concerned about the potential damage from this, from a 7.0 earthquake. The first aftershock after that was a 6.6. Because of that, we did have a tsunami warning that came out here just across the Cook Inlet. That expired, though, so we're looking just fine with that. And as far as temperatures go, it is very cold right now. Temps into the 20s, 28 degrees, just about 2.5 hours more of daylight. Tomorrow, once the daylight comes back up, temps go up to about 40 degrees. Dana?
Okay, Rick, thank you for that.
You bet.
And now to another story we're following. President Trump meeting with world leaders during a high-stakes G20 summit. President Trump set to face off tomorrow with his Chinese counterpart amid rising trade tensions. And earlier today, Trump signing a possible NAFTA replacement with Mexico and Canada.
The USMCA is the largest, most significant, modern and balanced trade agreement in history. All of our countries will benefit greatly. It is probably the largest trade deal ever made also. Many, many jobs are already planning to come back. Many companies are coming back. And we're very excited about that.
Meanwhile, back home, the media and Democrats primarily focused on Michael Cohen's plea deal and developments in the Russia probe.
It's become very clear that the Trump campaign colluded with the Russians in trying to subvert the election.
I was watching yesterday, and Donald Trump sounds like a crime boss.
This is just the beginning. You're going to see a man with all kinds of nefarious ties, financially dependent, period. And this is the first chip to fall.
Today's the first day I actually thought Donald Trump might not finish his term in office.
Really?
This is not the way a high elected official is supposed to talk. It's the way guys talk to me when they're wearing orange jumpsuits and explaining why they got done wrong.
All right, so, Jesse, they're kind of jumping ahead here.
Yeah, they've already convicted the guy and said he's a colluder, but that's fine. And it seems like in the media every day they believe is the last day of the Trump presidency. I've been saying that since the inauguration. I've been watching the Clinton affair on A&E, and it reminds me of when he was trying to knock out deals and protect the country and improve the economy, and he had this nasty special counsel on his back, and he kept saying over and over and over again, put this aside, let me go back to work for the American people. I have to work and help the country. And what did the voters say at the end of the whole spectacle? He had the highest approval rating ever because all he wanted to do was work hard for the American people. If I were Trump, I would do the same thing. I would just stop with the witch hunt texting and the tweeting. I'd say, let me get to work. And look what he's doing. Speaking of Clinton, his signature trade deal, he's now rescinded it and repackaged it so American auto workers, dairy producers, energy, water, wine, all these industries are now in an improved position. He held firm on steel and aluminum, and it puts him in a really strong position when he meets Xi tomorrow over the China trade war, and we're winning that trade war right now. The Chinese economy is off 30% since that trade war started. They thought those retaliatory tariffs were going to bring political pressure to bear on the president. That did not happen. Trump only lost one soybean district in the midterms. And if you look at the whole big picture, Greg always likes to say, look at the results. The results are strong. You just have this really nagging special counsel on the other end, which makes his life miserable.
I think Greg might have a metaphor of sorts.
Yes,
of course.
Well, thank you for serving me up this wonderful opportunity. Might I use a metaphor?
Yes, please.
Trump is like an ice cream store with amazing flavors. You have wages and cream. You have gobzo jobs. You have economy crunch. You have optimism swirl. You have North Korea caramel. And where is the media? They're across the street feeding out of a garbage can. Their cheeks swollen with rotten fruit and vegetables because that's all they want is bad news. And that's what you saw in that montage. A bunch of guys, they all have Trump success denial disorder. They can't bear it. The thing is, I'll even admit, like, I learned a lot about trade. I don't like where he was going with trade, but he forced it on me. I had to learn about these imbalances that I didn't want to learn about because, frankly, I'm an opinion person. I don't want to learn about trade. I just want to shout about it, but he forced me to learn about it, and I realized, you know what? The guy cares about it. The guy, turns out he's right. He's getting stuff done, and instead, these other, creeps elsewhere are just too busy obsessing over the garbage can filled with rotten fruit and vegetables. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much. Juan, do you think the trade war is working?
The trade war with China?
Yeah.
Well, obviously not. I mean, obviously you look at the stock market and, most of the gains for the year have disappeared. And obviously you have stuff like GM, 14,000 jobs. That's a lot of jobs, Dana. And you have things like Harley-Davidson, Carrier. They've left the country in terms of jobs. A great disappointment to President Trump. So I don't think it's working. The question is whether or not, as Greg was saying, you look at the China deal, is it the fact, or is it the case, maybe I meant Jesse.
We look alike.
You do. Is it possible that, in fact, China, whose economy is in a slump, is now on the defensive and more willing to deal with President Trump? We don't know that yet. In terms of the NAFTA deal, let me just point out that a good conservative organ like the Wall Street Journal said, this is just basically the status quo. It could have been worse given Trump's protectionist instincts. But you look at what is highlighted in terms of the NAFTA deal, and that is dairy farmers. And you say, well, is it a much better deal for American dairy farmers? Well, it's a 1% or a little less than 1% increase in the quota of American dairy allowed into Canada. But there is now a situation where Canadian prices can't be dumped. Canadian dairy can't be dumped in the United States.
You know who likes that is Senator Chuck Schumer.
Well, but the question is whether or not Schumer and the Democrats approve of this deal.
And we won't know that for a while. Emily, I'll give you the floor. You can talk about anything that you'd like.
Okay, then I will start by saying I really appreciate your University of Washington Husky tie.
Is that what it is?
A shout out to us winning the Pac-12 championship.
Go
Thank you
Huskies.
for that. On Chuck Schumer, I will say that he obviously voted nay in 1993 against NAFTA. And what's happened since? What have we heard from him since? More shouting about it without substance. No offense that I just pointed to you when I said that. So from him coming forward and saying, now this isn't doing us any good. He doesn't make any reference to the Class 7 pricing system being gone in Canada and what things are achieved. And for me as an American citizen, I don't understand why compromise hasn't been achieved this entire time, hasn't been reached. I don't want my elected officials to be standing and shouting for 20 years without anything accomplished, because it's compromise that we are all sending them there for, because otherwise they're not serving us and there will be absolutely nothing gained. On China, I think that obviously the trade war is significant and there needs to be more leverage gained and mentioned of the IP theft going on, the erosion of quality, and also they're flooding our country, frankly, with illicit drugs. There's a lot of talks about southern border physical penetration. It's also happening in the air supply and with the mail system. So I think there's overarching issues that need to be included in that conversation. But certainly, again, those elected officials, they need to be a little bit more than whiners.
Okay, and a last word to Jesse.
Yeah, just quickly with Juan's comment, I have to respond on the economy and the stock market. I know you're weeping about your 401k, Juan, but
well, I just worry about you, Jesse. You're a young fella.
I know. Thank you for saying that. Yeah. It's the makeup. If you think about you said the stock losses, you know, that we're back to square one since the beginning of the year. I mean, I think we know why that happened. The tech sector's not doing well, and the Fed has been jacking up interest rates. And what did the president do?
Jacking up interest rates?
He jawboned down the Fed, and now Powell has a much more dovish approach, which is why the market ripped this week, because he came out with comments, and it hinted that he was going to take a more dovish approach and not raise rates as much as he was indicating. That's why you saw the big jump in the Dow. Okay. And he's jawboned the Saudis into cutting production, which is why
price of oil went
from $70 a barrel to $50 a barrel.
We got
you know what? I would respond.
Economic
I'm not allowed.
The crisis at the border getting even worse as conditions are deteriorating for the thousands of migrants camped out in Mexico. The mayor of Tijuana is blasting the organizers of the caravan and saying his city can no longer cover the costs.
Those are really criminals because they're dealing with lives. They're dealing with people. It's a federal crime. If they ask me, do you know who they are? No, I don't know, but just look at the films. Look at them and you'll find who are they.
Tijuana is footing the bill. It cost how much?
Approximately $25,000 a day, every day. And our economy is not that great. Right. It's not enough.
Jesse, you heard the mayor, and in addition to that, we have international relief organizations that are saying, clearly making statements that in these times of refuge, that laws still need to be respected and other countries need to be respected. Why aren't Democrats listening to these messages?
Well, that's a great question. I think I'm going to bring up Greg's point the other day about when you have let's just say a parent, okay? And you're a parent, and you're a strict parent, because you want your kid to be successful. Sometimes when he messes up, you ground him. Sometimes you send him to his room. Sometimes, you know, you take away the keys, and you keep things strict because you love him and you want him to have boundaries and then live a very productive life. The Republicans are like the good parents. They're like strict parents. They want borders enforced. They want there to be an order and a process. And they get maligned for that. The Democrats, you know, you always had those parents that were like, you know, they kind of drink with the teenagers.
Have the party at our house.
Was the party house. Anything goes. And everybody wanted to go to that house. And those are the parents on the left. Those are the liberal parents. Open borders. Who cares? Don't enforce the law. And that's what you get. And now you have these people in Tijuana. A lot of them are suffering from all sorts of illnesses. They are turning around around because they were misled. They're getting tear gassed, and there's criminals among them, and it's a very dangerous situation, and it's hurting the local population in Tijuana. That's why you have to be a strict parent and have order and law.
Let me get this straight. You go to Greg for parental advice.
I'm the guy without kids.
Well, I'm
He's
glad.
done no wrong yet.
I am here to help the world's children.
Yeah, there it is. There we go.
Okay, so Juan.
This is outrageous.
How is that outrageous? That's a perfect.
Yeah,
that's a good analogy.
Yeah, either you go to Greg Gutfeld or W.C. Fields for advice on kids. They both hate kids. They hate them. But let me just say, what you see here is a situation of a manufactured crisis. I don't know why you asked that question the way you did, Emily. Democrats aren't the ones to blame. I mean, clearly it's the mayor of Tijuana who says he's got a problem with people who are in the caravan because they're driving up costs for him to run his local government. And then you have the U.S. government, and I think there it's a Trump administration that has created this crisis.
How? You never say how.
I will explain if you allow me, sir.
We try.
By denying people the ability to enter anyway and apply for asylum and due process, but instead trying to funnel them right there.
No.
And you know what you get is a situation.
The caravan started. The caravan started.
This is a situation, by the way, that you can go back to 1975. Tens of thousands of Vietnamese coming over here. What did we do? We opened Camp Pendleton. We opened more capacity, more courts, so that we could orderly handle it. Instead,
they were refugees from a war.
We put people in a situation that is absolutely degrading to them, so much so that
they
people
are coming. It's an orchestrated march.
Well, and they were not. How did Trump funnel them to Tijuana?
He says he's not.
That's not a fact.
That's exactly
they chose not to go to the Texas border because they thought they would receive tougher treatment at the Texas border. So they went to a softer place.
They were told
in Southern
they are
California.
not allowed to enter, which is the law, by the way, due process. They're told, no, you cannot enter anywhere. You must enter
It's funny hearing a Democrat talk about due process.
Oh, yeah.
You don't they didn't want it for Kavanaugh, but they want it for the migrants.
Yeah, your talking point has been turned on its head by our great daddy Greg.
You know what I think is? I think it is time for a new word. The problem here is it's not a caravan. A caravan is a deceptive term. It's a politically orchestrated march. And every time you have to ask where it started. It didn't start with Trump. This was a test of the border. It was a test to see what would happen. And if we didn't react a certain way, another one would come. And if we let that one, then another one. So it was obviously you have to put your foot down. And by the way, I've never been to Tijuana, but they have their hands full with us. They have obnoxious spring breakers and bachelor parties. We're bad enough. They don't need any more groups of young males coming there and putting pressure on their fragile economy.
Well, in fact, they do because they need workers. But here's the thing about...
But he did... I take the word of the mayor, Juan.
No,
he's obviously very upset.
No, but I'm saying the mayor's upset because
it's
cost, because it doesn't have any added cost. But when you look at this situation, you guys need to not be so self-referential. It's not just about us. I think it's also about people who are suffering.
I'm compassionate, Juan. I'm so compassionate.
Let's let Dana
unbelievable.
Dana, tomorrow the president-elect of Mexico actually officially assumes office.
Right.
So, and he's been a mayor of a large city. He was the mayor of Mexico City. What steps does he take moving forward? What is his game plan working with the mayor?
Well, he already has. I think one of the most important things he has to do is have a good relationship with President Trump, but that's already underway. And then I think that what the mayor is asking for is possibly some help from the United States financially, because $25,000 a day, like that is a lot for Tijuana, but also you have a possible health crisis on your hand with the unsanitary conditions, TB. This is a problem that Tijuana cannot handle on its own. So I think that would probably be the most important thing if we were choosing something.
Thank you for that.
Thank you.
A top Obama ally with some tough words for Democrats, getting all excited over Beto O'Rourke.
I feel like we lost. That's why
Moments ago, President and First Lady Trump's arriving at the G20 dinner. In a few more minutes, we're also expecting this year's family photo, and we'll bring it to you live right here on The 5. In the meantime, Chicago Mayor Rahm Emanuel with some very harsh words for Democrats who are getting excited about a possible Beto O'Rourke presidential run.
If Beto O'Rourke wants to go and run for president, God bless him. He should put his hat in and make his case. But he lost. You don't usually promote a loser to the top of the party. He doesn't like him.
Wow, and if Beto O'Rourke does decide to run, it looks like he'll have a lot of company. Many Democrats saying they're thinking about getting in.
I'm not taking anything off the table.
You're probably going to run.
You don't have to tell me. I think you're going to run. I think Beto's going to run. I probably am, yeah.
I am just still thinking about this, talking to people.
But we're seriously thinking about it. We're seriously talking about it with family and friends.
I will make that decision at the appropriate time.
Well, I will be considering it, as I've said.
Absolutely, I'm looking at it, and I'm going to talk with my family over the holiday.
So, Emily, you have a situation here where you get someone like Rahm Emanuel, the mayor of Chicago, saying, hey, Beto O'Rourke, slow down. But then you get other former Obama people saying, gee, he reminds me of Obama. He's 46. I think Obama was 47 when he took office. Dan Pfeiffer saying, what an impressive guy. President Obama himself saying, this is a guy who speaks authentically. He doesn't do poll-tested type of speeches, and people react to him with great passion. What do you think?
I think it obviously remains to be seen who's going to rise to the top. I think it's probably too early to just count someone else and call them a loser, because it seems to me moving forward it would behoove the Democratic Party to have really it be based on substance. We just saw the parade of misfits happening, so clearly there's a million people that keep saying they're thinking about running and that will be throwing their hat in the ring. So why not add Beto to it? Why not add one more misfit to the island?
Misfit? You're all misfits.
I mean, moving forward, I think it will be an opportunity to see all of them individually shine. So let's hear what their platforms are. Let's see their substance. Let's see their fresh new ideas. Let's see them galvanize the millennials. Let's see them galvanize those voters that didn't turn up in the midterms, even though people were canvassing and out there, and that they're not just talking either about themselves or in direct response to the president.
Did Juan just make you back off your misfit comment? That's what it sounds like.
Don't do that.
Don't let Juan do that to you.
Do you remember when I was that nice?
Yeah.
You'll get over it.
She'll be great. She'll be great. So, Jesse, you have a situation here where it's potentially the case that people who are Obama loyalists are split between Joe Biden, who is currently the #1 pick of Democrats to be the nominee, and someone like a Beto O'Rourke.
That's a really good point. I think you're right about that. And it looks like Rahm falls into the other camp. He looks like he's a Beto hater. It is probably very loyal to President Obama and doesn't like the comparisons. Maybe the comparisons rub him the wrong way. I think Obama was more substantive than he was. He definitely had a little more charisma. They both have similar kind of grassroots appeal, very handsome and articulate. But I just don't see Beto catching the fire the way Obama did. I think he's too young, he's too green, and I don't think he has the sharp elbows. Remember, Obama was pretty strong in those debates, and he had a pretty sharp tongue. I think Beto's too nice. I will look at some of those other candidates. Julian Castro, he's got a good look. I think he could definitely go far. And Sherrod Brown, or Sherrod Brown, whatever his name is, he's got that gravelly voice that kind of people listen to, so he could go far. But there's going to be so many
Your in-depth analysis is amazing.
It's very superficial.
No, but this is Jesse's theory that good-looking people go farther in life.
That's right, Greg. That explains where I am today.
You were bullied for it earlier, remember? You said you were bullied for your good looks yesterday.
That's
so which
true.
is it?
You know,
Is it
it's a burden that I bear. It is a burden that I bear. And I just want to say one thing. If there's going to be so many candidates, there's not going to be enough money to go around. So these guys are going to just drop out after the first couple debates if they don't raise any money.
So, Dana, I won't respond to Jesse because I think it was 17. But I wanted to say, go ahead, because I was going to ask you a question.
I would say a couple things. Well, one, like before Rahm was an Obama guy, he was a Clinton guy. And the thing about Rahm Emanuel is he knows how to win. So when the Democrats beat back the Republicans in 2006 in that midterm, Rahm was in charge of that.
That's true.
And so then he goes and he's won twice in Chicago. The thing is he knows how to win. He understands the Democratic base. Of course it's changing, but there are more regular straight Democrats than you have on the progressive side. However, when he says that Beto O'Rourke is a loser, yeah, but he came pretty close in a very red state, and he raised a ton of money. But here's the thing. I think what Rahm is also trying to say to someone like Beto O'Rourke is that you're going to have to earn it. You're not just going to be, it's not just going to be handed to you. You're going to have to come and court us and see if we will actually get on your side.
That's a great point.
Thank you. I thought I was so.
So, hey, Greg, I want you to have some fun with something.
Yes.
So here are how the Democrats, you know, this, what do you call them, misfits? This lot of misfits, according to our pal, is going out and writing books. And the one book by Elizabeth Warren is called The Fight Is Our Fight. The book by Kamala Harris, The Truth We Hold. The book by Bernie Sanders, Where We Go From Here. I guess we can be expecting books from Cory Booker, Amy Klobuchar.
Cory Booker should have a Booker. Yeah, there you know, Elizabeth Warren missed her title should have been No Reservations.
Oh.
You know, this is not an election right now. It's like a weekend 5K fun run. You know, there's a whole motley crew of people showing up. There's about 150 of them. No, about 90% of them are not going to make it. Beto is cursed to be the one that showed up too early and is being talked up too early. It's like the first one interviewed at a beauty pageant.
But that means that he should run this time, because if you wait too long, just like with Elizabeth Warren, she should have run this last time. She's not, now it's passed her by. But Beto O'Rourke, maybe he's got to seize the moment.
I don't know.
You don't know. Hey, so by the way, since all these Democrats are misfits and misbegotten to Emily and Greg, what happened? What did you say about those 17 that were running?
No, I mean, no, that's what I've always been consistent in this, is that what you will run the risk of having so many people that you have a contrast between similarities and one unusual person.
Right.
So what happened with Trump is you had 16 similarities, even including the women, but they were politicians, and then the one non-politician stood out.
Yeah.
So if they have 20 people, 19, 15 people.
So who's the one?
I think it's Mark Ruffalo.
Oh, Mark Ruffalo.
That is my prediction, that he's going to run as a progressive candidate, and he's going to win the nomination because he's a great Hulk.
Wow.
He's the only likable progressive.
I hope you have a good weekend, man, and calm down. All right, Knickers, the giant cow, may have some competition. And is Delta Airlines going too far with its new facial recognition technology? All of that, so much more. Stay with us.
Fox News alert, President Trump participating in a G20 family photo just moments ago with world leaders. We're keeping an eye on that.
That's a nice picture.
But now it's time for the Fastest 7. First up, pay less, fooling so-called fashion-savvy influencers with this clever ad campaign.
We built a fake luxury store in Los Angeles and filled it with Payless shoes. The guests at our grand opening party had no idea.
They're elegant, sophisticated. I just think it's so classy.
And I could tell it was made with high-quality material.
These fashionistas actually paid $200, $400, and even $600 for Payless shoes.
Don't worry, the fashionistas did receive full refunds in this little experiment. The company is saying they just wanted to change people's perceptions about what luxury should cost. Greg, I love this story.
You know, the thing is, though, I would have figured it out, because I wear nothing but Louis Vuittons. To give a nice shape to my cap, and I could still run from the cops. But you know who also tried to trick people was Claire McCaskill. Did you know what she did?
What'd she do?
She tweeted 3 segments from, I guess, CNN, MSNBC, and Fox News showing coverage of, I guess, the Mueller probe, and they showed animals are great, with the idea that that's what we were covering. Instead, the fact that we led the show yesterday on the Mueller probe, and that Claire McCaskill is, in fact, a lying idiot.
You know what, Claire? Animals are great. All right, Dana, what do you think about fashionistas?
I love this story, too. I often think I'm overpaying for things, and I haven't been to Payless in a while, but I would go back in now. And I think a lot of these influencers are total baloney.
Yeah, what's an influencer anyway?
Oh, it's like, you know, people who are fashion
You're an influencer.
critics.
Am I?
Yeah. Not only that, you are an influencer.
That's scary.
because you're on TV and people would say, hey, that's a nice suit Jesse has on. Where do you get that suit?
Well, thank you. It's Jay Crew. Send it over, guys.
I don't think they will.
You know what this story reminds me of is that on Sundays when I open the Sunday paper magazines and they have fashion things, I think, what women wear this stuff?
You still read a paper?
I do.
It's called the internet
newspapers.
I read the hard copy Wall Street Journal every day.
Of course you do, Dana.
After the book you finish. Okay, Emily.
Getting good with the boss.
I loved this. I thought it was brilliant marketing, and
it's marketing.
And I feel like it's super Emperor's New Clothes, where everyone, when you tell someone it is worth $1 million, all of a sudden everyone's like, oh yes, and this is amazing, and it just kind of brings everyone back down to earth.
That's true. All right, up next, everybody hates waiting in long lines at the airport, including me. But would you be willing to do this to save a few minutes? Delta launching the first facial recognition technology in Atlanta tomorrow. It's going to allow flyers to just breeze through security, and all they have to do is just show their face. But the new technology is raising some privacy concerns. But Delta says it doesn't store the images. Greg, do you believe that Delta does not store the images?
Oh, but no, there's a bigger story to this, because this is where this is going to ultimately lead, is to face theft.
Ooh.
Okay, so how easy will it be for me to 3D copy Jesse's face and then access his most private records and accounts with the face? Or I could just peel your face off and just put your face on mine like Silence of the Lambs business and just go in there. Because people are going to start stealing rich people's faces and using them to get into their accounts. And it's so easy.
Deep fakes. I mean, that's like deep fakes. That is possible. But, okay, if you have an iPhone 10, you're already doing this. And you do it a million times a day when you look at your phone. You know what I mean?
So you're not as scared. This is not scary?
No, I'm for technology. Go for it.
Me too.
Okay, but what if you're trying to, like, you know, lay low, and then all of a sudden you go somewhere and everybody knows?
About that?
I'm just saying people try to set other people up, Dana, and this is kind of an hindrance to that.
You know what you could do, Jesse?
What?
Take a selfie. Remember that was your solution? Take selfies.
Before I go through security,
it's me. You know, look, already, by the way, they've caught like 2 or 3% of people who didn't have the right passport, and they were criminals. So, I mean, it works. But I would say I'm with Dana. I think anything to get me through an airport faster, I'm saying
And this is supposed to shave off how many minutes?
9.
9?
So
That's
I'll
valuable.
take those 9 minutes.
Yeah.
Sure. I mean, and I'm sure in the aggregate, too, that's a lot. But I also think the downside potential is pretty huge here. And from what I understand...
What is the downside?
Well, from what I understand, a lot of facial recognition technology has issues identifying people of color. That there is not only the storage aspect, but the hacking aspect. The fact that you're going from the curb to the plane without showing your passport at all. Would it be worth your 9 minutes back to know that there were multiple checkpoints so that you were safe on your plane?
Oh, wow. Way to bring it down, silly. Way to
You know what I'm
down.
worried about? The deep state. That's what I'm worried about.
Smoking like a Trumpian.
Already.
The deep face.
And I will say, there's a lot of people working on facial recognition technology. Working on facial recognition technology that have voiced concern over this kind of technology.
What did he do to you?
Bunch of misfits.
What did you do?
Bunch of misfits. All right, and finally, move over, Knickers.
Oh, wow.
You like that one, Greg?
No,
the massive 6'4"
I would never have done that.
cow making headlines around the world apparently has some competition. A Canadian farmer claims his own so-called gentle giant named Dozer is an inch taller.
Wow.
What if these are real? Wait. What if these are just really small people?
Well,
I mean, this could be a total
next to that.
Well, no, exactly. But here's my thing. I would rather have, forget big bovines. I would rather have little tiny genetically engineered cows, so like they could be in your house. Like you could be sitting on the couch, you go, "Hey, Bessie," runs up, jumps on there, and you squeeze out some milk. Just look at you have a glass of milk right there, just all the time.
Would you do that?
Yes,
Would you milk your own cow?
little genetically engineered baby cow in your house, and you just have milk whenever you want.
Do you remember when you had to milk that goat at the event?
Yeah.
Why go out for milk when you have the cow at home? Perfect, Greg.
I just love that they were saved. Both of these cows were saved.
I think we should reconsider that.
Does that analogy have a different meaning?
I don't know. Never heard of it. Never heard of it.
I
I
ran
think that's
straight through
about
it.
human relationships.
Oh, I'm
Human
thinking about milk one.
All right.
All right.
Yeah, I love that both of these cows were saved, basically. Both of them were slated to be, I almost said massacred.
Hurry up!
You know
and
what?
they were saved. Their lives were saved, and I appreciate that, and I like that it's a gentle giant. I think that's sweet. Also, I think that...
Oh my God, you've had so much coffee. How much coffee did you drink?
Do you know what's going on?
Just a little
Do you
bit.
know what's going on?
What?
They are hazing you.
No, she's
Did I pass?
She's
Am
the
I
fastest
initiated?
talker on the planet, and to prove it, I don't care if this bites into fan mail.
Just read one paragraph.
Read right if it's from the Pence book.
This is Charlotte
Are you
Pence's
kidding me?
book.
What
Here
are
you
two
go.
previous songs that Dad Mitchell's and Jumps running away are two parents dangerously before he left you studying the back
Oh, my God. This is like those ads for drugs, you know, at the end of the drug ad.
I wait for them my morning when I was in panic. I'm sorry. Our neighbors with them, these are drapers, and we'll be sorry if a few home cooked meals over to them at that famous hospital.
Oh my God. Speed
It's
reader.
my parlor trick.
And,
Wow.
and I'll do it slowly for you. If you take this drug and you have a problem after 4.5 hours,
No, that's
seek immediate
by the way, you can make a lot of money doing that.
Yeah.
Wow.
It's just my life.
All right, unbelievable. Anyway, don't go anywhere. Fan Mail Friday is up next.
All you got to do now.
Fox News alert. President Trump participating in a G20 family photo just moments ago with world leaders. We're keeping an eye on that.
That's a nice picture.
But now it's time for The fastest 7. First up, pay less, fooling so-called fashion-savvy influencers with this clever ad campaign.
We built a fake luxury store in Los Angeles and filled it with Payless shoes. The guests at our grand opening party had no idea.
They're elegant, sophisticated. I just think it's so classy.
And I could tell it was made with high-quality material.
These fashionistas actually paid $200, $400, and even $600 for Payless shoes.
Don't worry, the fashionistas did receive full refunds in this little experiment. The company is saying they just wanted to change people's perceptions about what luxury should cost. Greg, I love this story.
You know, but the thing is, though, I would have figured it out because I wear nothing but Louis Vuittons. To give a nice shape to my cap, and I could still run from the cops. But you know who also tried to trick people was Claire McCaskill. Did you know what she did?
What'd she do?
She tweeted 3 segments from, I guess, CNN, MSNBC, and Fox News showing coverage of, I guess, the Mueller probe, and they showed animals are great, with the idea that that's what we were covering. Instead, the fact that we led the show yesterday on the Mueller probe and that Claire McCaskill is, in fact, a lying idiot.
You know what, Claire? Animals are great. All right, Dana, what do you think about fashionistas?
I love this story, too. I often think I'm overpaying for things. And I haven't been to Payless in a while, but I would go back in now. And I think a lot of these influencers are total baloney.
Yeah, what's an influencer anyway?
Oh, it's like, people who are fashion
You're an influencer.
critics.
Am I?
Yeah. Not only that, you are an influencer.
That's scary.
because you're on TV and people would say, hey, that's a nice suit Jesse has on. Where do you get that suit?
Well, thank you. It's J. Crew. Send it over, guys.
I don't think they will.
You know what this story reminds me of is that on Sundays when I open the Sunday paper magazines and they have fashion things, I think, what women wear this stuff?
You still read a paper?
I do.
It's called the Internet
newspapers.
I read the hard copy Wall Street Journal every day.
Of course you do, Dana.
After the book you finish. Okay, Emily.
Getting good with the boss.
I loved this. I thought it was brilliant marketing, and
it's marketing.
And I feel like it's super Emperor's New Clothes, where everyone, when you tell someone it is worth $1 million, all of a sudden everyone's like, oh yes, and this is amazing, and it just kind of brings everyone back down to earth.
That's true. All right, up next, everybody hates waiting in long lines at the airport, including me. But would you be willing to do this to save a few minutes? Delta launching the first facial recognition technology in Atlanta tomorrow. It's going to allow flyers to just breeze through security, and all they have to do is just show their face. But the new technology is raising some privacy concerns. But Delta says it doesn't store the images. Greg, do you believe that Delta does not store the images?
Oh, but no, there's a bigger story to this, because this is where this is going to ultimately lead, is to face theft.
Ooh.
Okay, so how easy will it be for me to 3D copy Jesse's face and then access his most private records and accounts with the face? Or I could just peel your face off and just put your face on mine like Silence of the Lambs business and just go in there. Because people are going to start stealing rich people's faces and using them to get into their accounts. And it's so easy.
Deep fakes. I mean, that's deep fakes. That is possible. But, okay, if you have an iPhone 10, you're already doing this. And you do it 1,000,000 times a day when you look at your phone. You know what I mean?
So you're not as scared. This is not scary?
No, use it. I'm for technology. Go for it.
Me too.
Okay, but what if you're trying to, lay low, and then all of a sudden you go somewhere and everybody knows?
About that?
I'm just saying people try to set other people up, Dana, and this is kind of an hindrance to that.
You know what you could do, Jesse?
What?
Take a selfie. Remember that was your solution? Take selfies.
Before I go through security,
I'm right. It's me. Look, already, by the way, they've caught like 2 or 3% of people who didn't have the right passport, and they were criminals. So, it works. But I would say I'm with Dana. I think anything to get me through an airport faster, I'm saying
And this is supposed to shave off how many minutes?
9.
9?
So
that's
I'll take those 9 minutes.
Yeah.
Sure. I mean, and I'm sure in the aggregate, too, that's a lot. But I also think the downside potential is pretty huge here. And from what I understand...
What is the downside?
Well, from what I understand, a lot of facial recognition technology has issues identifying people of color. That there is not only the storage aspect, but the hacking aspect. The fact that you're going from the curb to the plane without showing your passport at all. Would it be worth your 9 minutes back to know that there were multiple checkpoints so that you were safe on your plane?
Oh, wow. Way to bring it down.
You know what I'm worried about? The deep state. That's what I'm worried about.
Smoking like a Trumpian.
The deep face.
And I will say, there's a lot of people working on facial recognition technology. Facial recognition technology that have voiced concern over this kind of technology.
What did he do to you?
Bunch of misfits. What did you do? Bunch of misfits. All right, and finally, move over over, Knickers.
Oh, wow.
You like that one, Greg?
No.
The massive 6'4"
I would never have done that.
cow making headlines around the world apparently has some competition. A Canadian farmer claims his own so-called gentle giant named Dozer is an inch taller.
Wow.
What if these are real? Wait. What if these are just really small people?
Well,
I mean, this could be a total
next
skip.
to that.
Well, no, exactly. But here's my thing. I would rather have, forget big bovines. I would rather have little tiny genetically engineered cows, so like they could be in your house. Like you could be sitting on the couch, you go, "Hey, Bessie," runs up, jumps on there, and you squeeze out some milk. Just look at you have a glass of milk right there, just all the time.
Would you do that?
Yes, a little genetically engineered baby cow in your house, and you just have milk whenever you want.
Do you remember when you had to milk that goat at the event?
Yeah.
Why go out for milk when you have the cow at home? Perfect, Greg.
I just love that they were saved. Both of these cows were saved.
I think we should reconsider that.
Does that analogy have a different meaning?
I don't know. Never heard of it. Never heard of it.
I ran
think that's
straight through
about
it.
human relationships.
Oh, I'm
Human
thinking about
relationships.
milk one.
All right.
Yeah, I love that both of these cows were saved, basically. Both of them were slated to be, I almost said massacred.
Hurry up!
You know
and
what?
they were saved. Their lives were saved, and I appreciate that. And I like that it's a gentle giant. I think that's sweet. Also, I think that
Oh my God, you've had so much coffee. How much coffee did you drink?
Do you know what's going on?
Just a little
Do you
bit.
know what's going on?
What?
They are hazing you.
No, she's
Did I pass?
She's
Am
the
I
fastest
initiated?
talker on the planet, and to prove it.